So Paige Bueckers is going to be just fine, which we already knew, right? I mean, she comes from UConn, championship pedigree now at this point, but obviously a championship program, a prestigious program, and she has poise. She can pass the ball, she can shoot the ball, she plays defense, she plays within herself. She really has no weaknesses. She's strong in kind of every way out on the floor. And that was on display in the Wings' latest game. Now, they played the Toyota Antelopes, I'm sorry, but not exactly, a premier opponent. So I'm not going to blow it out of proportion. But nonetheless, so far in the preseason, I like what I've seen from Paige Bueckers, and I think she's going to be just fine in the WNBA because she's already WNBA ready when you consider age and experience, really. Now, as far as how great, that remains to be seen, but I'm not viewing Paige Bueckers through the lens of, say, Caitlin Clark comparisons or anything like that. I'm viewing her on her own merits, and I've been impressed with her game so far. And you see, she's a little bit bigger and put together more so than maybe we thought. Sometimes she got that reputation of being frail a little bit. I don't think she's explosive necessarily, but looks like whether or not that was her frame in March and April, the beginning of April, versus now, it just maybe put a little bit of mass on, but regardless, stronger looking than I thought once you see her out on the floor with the other WNBA players. And then you see the strength of her game as well. Like there's this pass, which is just instincts. Paige is a very gifted passer and sees the floor well. And this is a spontaneous, in motion, in rhythm, smart play by Paige Bueckers, finding Arike Ogunbowale. And of course, that pairing, that duo is going to be interesting this season because of Arike's abilities as a scorer and, of course, Paige as an unselfish player. And there was a sequence between the two that really stood out there in the game as well, where you saw just the ball popping and some camaraderie between the teammates. Now, physically, they just have the advantage against this team here. So it's hard to, that's the same play. Obviously, at the end, that's how it finished. But physically, they have the same, the advantage against the Antelopes there. And we saw that with the same advantage with Chicago and Indiana against Brazil, where those teams were just not ready for the responsibility from a age and size standpoint, depending on which team you're talking about there. But regardless, I still been impressed by Paige. There was one little bit in the commentary that's gonna raise some eyebrows, I guess you would say, and that came from Kurt Miller, who's the GM of the Wings, who was talking about putting the team together in the offseason, and this is what he said.
It was a lot of puzzle pieces to get to that trade and some free agency. Chris had some non-negotiables as we got closer on trade deals. Kai Harris was a non-negotiable, had to be a part of the deal. We knew if we could get if we could get an Alyssa in a trade, that even more could get Dejanay through free agency too. So it all worked out, but a lot of work went into that night.
So if they could get an Alyssa, they could get Dejanay. WNBA never ceases to amaze in that regard, where there's some soap opera aspect, and I'm not used to teammates dating each other, but nonetheless, I don't think Alyssa Smith is going to be a player that's going to help the Wings on the court or on the floor. Dejanay Carrington a little bit more so, not particularly a stalwart offensively, but what she can do defensively and from an all-around standpoint. Alyssa was in the starting lineup for this game. It's hard to take anything away from the box score because everybody was plus 30 something considering the opposition. But nonetheless, the Wings are going to be an interesting story to follow. And I know there was Paige Bueckers is going to be graded or judged fairly harshly by some, but it's really hard to watch her play basketball and not come away going, yeah, she's going to be okay.